Have you got me now? Yeah. Ah, good. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just lost sound to begin with. So I'm going to repeat myself. Hello to Ewan Bimpson. It is his 15th birthday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see what else I've got here. No sound, no sound. Sorry, you all. How about now? How about now? Is that any better now? Let's see. Alice Hetherington. I'm Aussie. It's my birthday on Monday. What about now? Hells, have you got sound now? You can hear me now. Yay. Good news, good news. Okay, right, let's go to some happy birthdays and some hellos. So James Bryant turned 7 today, so very, very happy birthday to you, James. And 8-year-old Leela is a huge fan, but had to have her right femur pinned a few days ago after an exploring accident. Oh, Leela, I'm so sorry to hear that. I really hope that you get better soon. Big shout out to our grandson Barnaby Smith from Moffat, Scotland. He'll be 5 on Saturday. A very happy birthday to you, Barnaby. And I've got one here from Natalie Jukes, teaching key worker children at Newport Junior School, Shropshire, with Mrs. Brampton. This week we're learning all about wildlife, and the kids have written some questions for your live chat. Here are the questions. What is inside a turtle's mouth? No teeth. What are the top 3 most venomous snakes? Inland taipan, eastern brown, and the coastal taipan. What is the most dangerous ant? Probably something like the bullet ant. What is the most... Why do geese fly in a V formation for streamlining? How high can a rabbit jump? About that high. And we really appreciate answers on your show. Well, there you go, Mrs. Jukes. David on Insta asks, why are animals' yawns contagious? That is an amazing question. I love it. One of the reasons for that is that a yawn has a practical process of bringing oxygen into your body when you need it, but it can also be a threat display as well. Quite often, if you're close to things like baboons, they'll do big, exaggerated yawns like that, and they're not just sucking in oxygen, they're also showing off their big canine teeth, they're showing off their weaponry. And so it could be that this is a symbol that's being passed on around the group because they all need to do that same sign at the same time. What's really intriguing, though, is that we can catch a yawn off animals from a different species, and they can catch it off us too. I have sat down and made my dog yawn by just going, and eventually he catches it too. Try it out, it works. Many a joyful hour you will have trying that. Okay, so quite a few people that are asking about this behind me. We have the key worker children at Trimley St Martin's Primary School who are going to be watching tomorrow before going pond dipping in their own school pond. To Otto Detroit, who's really looking forward to this as his son has his 10th birthday on Wednesday. Really, really good. And he has his aquarium ready to go. So yes, the reason that I've got this down behind me here is that I have this week been making my own wildlife aquarium. Let me bring this down so you can get a closer look at it. And I want to show you very simply how you can do the same. So this is all filled with completely native British species. We've got all kinds of critters in here, lots and lots of little teeny fish, lots of pond snails. And the simplest thing to do is to get yourself an aquarium like this. Although, to be honest, you could just use, a sweetie jar or something like that. If you're using something small like this, then don't put vertebrates in it. No fish, no tadpoles, because they need more oxygenated water than you can get in one of these. Go for the aquarium instead. And then what you want to do is make sure that you've got a gravel or stone lining at the bottom. Get some aquatic plants in there. And then you need to go out with your net, like this one here, and go pond dipping. Go pond dipping and get yourself lots of critters that you can fill your wildlife aquarium with. And I've got so much in this tank, I don't even really know where to start, but I've taken a few shots on my phone of the kind of things that you might see. So we've got lots and lots of swan mussels in here, which I picked from the river just behind me. You can see that one moving around there. They are probably doing a pretty good job also of cleaning out this water because they feed by filtration. I've also got some little newt tadpoles, which are just unbelievably cute. They kind of look like little axolotls hanging there in the water. And this is a Caddisfly Larvae. One of the coolest things about having something like this is that you get to see all these creatures going through various stages of their lives. So these caddisflies have been flying around me as winged adults. This is how they spend the majority of their year underwater, moving around on the bottom. And they are a classic to find when you're pond dipping. But surely for me, the best thing that I've got in this tank, even though I have frog tadpoles and newt tadpoles, the best thing has to be my stickleback. I've got a couple of sticklebacks in here, 3-spine sticklebacks. I've also got some bullhead as well, which are a wonderful little fish. They've been called the miller's thumb, and they're hanging out underneath the stones, along with lots of little gamorous freshwater shrimp as well. So what I've been doing is I've been every day taking a bit of this water out and replacing it with some fresh river water. That makes sure that it's both aerated and oxygenated, but also filled with lots of the tiny, teeny aquatic organisms that the things in here are going to feed on. So it then becomes a self-sustaining little ecosystem. It's something that, you know, anyone can do. You can fill it from your local pond. I've been doing it from the river and getting, as you can see, all kinds of amazing critters. Okay, I want to do a little Q&A for you all. So I've got a little question that I want you to try and answer, and it is, does any one of you know what this beautiful shell is and what the animal that lived in it was? And if you can get that, maybe you can go one stage better and you can answer me, what is this? Closely related, much, much more fragile. Does anyone know what that is? Okay, I'm going to come back to those answers in a little while, and I might even introduce you to an ancient prehistoric relative of these two beautiful, beautiful creatures that we have around on the planet today. Right, okay, let's get back to some of your questions. Oh, actually, before I crack on, there is something I do need to say. So, I have been having an awful lot recently of comments coming in from people saying, help, I was cutting through my local bush and I brought down a bird's nest and the birds are on the ground and they're in trouble, what do I do? And we've also had in our local wildlife refuge loads and loads of hedgehogs being brought in for the same reason, that essentially people are, right now, everything's starting to grow, so they're going through their garden, they're tidying up, they're cleaning out their flower beds, they're hacking down their hedges, they're trimming back their trees, and it's too early. It's too early for that. There are still so many birds that are in the nest with youngsters, and if you hack things back right now, then there are going to be calamities and there are going to be casualties. So what we are saying, what we are trying to get the message out to everyone is just sit back, have a cup of tea, maybe a glass of wine for you adults. Don't worry too much about the gardening for now. The longer you can leave it, if you can leave it for an extra couple of weeks, even better for a month or so, then you'll give those young critters a chance for a future. And I have to say, you know, there is nothing more heartbreaking, nothing, than cutting into a hedge or a tree and it bringing down a nest and you feeling like you've had some part to play in that. Now there's another thing that we're getting an awful lot of, which is a lot of people calling in and saying, I've found an abandoned chick, I found a chick on the ground, what do I do about it? Usually we say, do nothing. Do nothing at all, because adults will come back and feed their youngsters, even if they haven't fledged, even if they're down on the ground. If you watch it for long enough, you'll usually see an adult come in and start doing the job of taking care of it. If you do choose to take on those baby birds yourself, you're taking on a phenomenal job. And I can illustrate that with our swallows. So any of you who've been following the process of the last, whatever it's been now, 12 weeks, will know that I've been following the progress of the swallows that are nesting under our dock. This is them in here now. They're all crouched down over the nest and then opening their mouths big and wide when Mum turns up to try and catch her attention. Any of the sharp-eyed of you, or the ones of you who have got good memory, will remember that last week I said we had 2 chicks. I was quite wrong there. I was more than 100% wrong. We have not 2 chicks, but instead we have 5, which will be revealed when Mum flies off the nest here. So she's just shuffling around there. This is quite early this morning. And as she goes, it's like, Mom, don't leave me, they're shouting as they're in the nest. And if you count those little yellow beaks, you will see 5 of them. They're starting to move around in the nest now. The nest is starting to look a little bit packed. That one there is actually getting its wings out. You can see those wings are in pin. They're just starting to form. It's still quite shy of fledging. It'll be a good few days before they can head out. That's Dad actually that's come in there to give them a feed. But the thing that I wanted to really kind of get across here is how often it's happening. So these shots are all from this morning. And I was watching those swallows, which you'll probably hear or see. One of them sat on the antenna just over there right now. They were coming into that nest every 2 or 3 minutes with flying insects. So if you take on a blackbird chick, a wren chick, a robin chick, think how much feeding you're going to have to do and for how long you're going to have to do it. I think the average for blue tits is every 8 minutes the chicks are fed. So even if you have a really good source of things like mealworms, you're taking on a massive job when it's possible that the parents may come back and feed them themselves. So number 1, if you can avoid hacking back bits of your garden for now, please do, because you'll be giving animals a chance. If you have to take care of animals, take them to your local wildlife refuge. And I've got a few people here saying, Isaac Paul, age 11, it's a nautilus. Yes, absolutely brilliant. Very, very good job. And Sue Harper says, a paper nautilus or argonaut. Yes, wonderful job. A happy birthday there to Robert in Wrexham. And we've got lots of people coming. And to Hugo in Greenwich, 8 tomorrow. Very, very happy birthday. Also a happy birthday to Billy and Ben. Sally Reimer says a nautilus shell. Isaac Fothergill says a nautilus shell. And Isaac Wright says he wants to be a natural... Oh, Sam Brodenhurst, 1 chambered nautilus, 2 paper nautilus. Really good. Simon Lampkin, nautilus, I said that. Okay, so yes, you were all absolutely spot on. They are nautilus. This is the chambered nautilus, and this one here is the argonaut. Or there's Kitty as well says nautilus and an argonaut. So these would have an animal living inside of them, and they swim free up in the water column. They can live very, very deep. These ones are often found 400, 500 metres below the surface. This paper nautilus or argonaut is super, super fragile. I have to be so careful with how I hold it. And these are modern animals. They are found in our seas right now. But there's another animal that you may have heard of, which doesn't occur here anymore. In fact, they disappeared at around the same time as the dinosaurs, about 65 million years ago. And it's this. This is an ammonite. So an ammonite would have been something quite to a nautilus or an argonaut. And if you go down to the south coast of England, where we go climbing, places like Dancing Ledges, you can be down at water level with ammonites in the rock that you're standing on belaying that are the size of dustbin lids. They are absolutely spectacular. Okay, I'm aware that I've already talked for 15 minutes and I've barely taken anyone's questions. Sorry, you all. That's rather lax of me. So Starlight Starbright asks, what do sticklebacks eat? Quite a lot of small mollusks and also fish and mollusk eggs. George and William, 10 and 8, say we found great crested newt in our garden last week. We're making a micro pond this weekend. Amazing news. Ben Espinoza, a shout out. He's 7 on Friday. Absolutely, he's been a superstar through lockdown. And talking of superstars and talking of birthdays, I may be a little bit distracted this morning, and I may sprint off the second that I finish this broadcast, because it's somebody else's birthday today, someone very special indeed. It's my wife Helen's birthday, and I'm sat here talking to you when I should be making her breakfast. So a massive sorry to Helen that I'm not in there pampering you. I promise there'll be plenty of pampering later on today. And wherever you are around the world, whatever far-flung part of the planet you're in, would you join me in a rousing verse of happy birthday for all of you out there who've got your birthday, but most of all for my long-suffering wife Helen. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to all of you who've got birthdays, but particularly Helen. Happy birthday to you. And that's why I do wildlife and not singing. So Unicorn Pasty wants to know what is happening here. And they've sent in a photo. Let me show you this. Okay, so this photo is of something really rather grisly. if you're looking at that close, what you'll see is a caterpillar. I can't tell exactly what kind of caterpillar it is, but you see all those little nodules that are sticking off it. Those are the pupa, the egg case of a wasp, of a parasitic wasp, which has laid its eggs into the caterpillar. They've hatched out and they've pupated, and they've essentially eaten that caterpillar from the inside out. There's about 9,000 different kinds of wasp found here in this country. Very few of them are actually social ones, such as the common wasp that we have ruining our picnics. And this leads me on slightly to my next question, which comes in from Jane Horner, who's also sent in a photo, which is this, and she wants to know what it is. Well, it is one of those parasitic wasps. This is an Hominid wasp. I've never known how to say that word. And they are the kind of wasps that will parasitize things like moth and butterfly pupa, and also the caterpillars. It's super, super grisly, but it's actually one of the most common methods of feeding found in the whole natural world. There are so many things zipping through here. I'm really struggling to keep up, if I'm honest. Eleanor Coldwell, what frogs squeak like mice? Our cats brought in 2 frogs last night, both of which I rescued, but one was squeaking like a mouse. Well, I'm sorry to say that was probably a common frog, and that would have been a distress call, because, it would have been, not surprisingly, pretty freaked out by the whole thing. Okay, I've got lots and lots of photos have been sent in by people wanting to identify them that are of moths, beautiful, beautiful moths. Who did this one come in from? This was from I can't find who this is from, but if this is your photo, then you'll know. So I've been asked what this is. This is an elephant hawk moth in a group called the Sphingidae, or Sphinx Moths. And if you look at them head on, then you will see that they do kind of look like the Sphinx in Egypt. Beautiful colours, bright pinks, and this is a really big moth as well. And I have had about 200 different requests for moth IDs that have come in. This one is another absolute stonker. This is an emperor moth, which someone had on their... this is from Justine Latigan. Her son Nathan sat and watched it till it flew away. You can usually tell the males are the ones that have brighter underwing, a sort of orange underwing, and the females are more unified in colour. And then we have... I've had a lot of this one come in. So this is not a butterfly. This is another moth. This one came in from Andrea Everett. But I've also had exactly the same one come in from Jasper and Finley, who found it on a walk in the woods, and lots of others as well, wanting to know what it is. It is a cinnabar moth. I know it seems amazing that something like that is a moth and not a butterfly, but actually some of the brightest coloured winged insects are moths. And I actually spoke to a moth expert who said that we have more day-flying moths than we do day-flying butterflies. Certainly there are many more different kinds of moth than there are butterfly. Okay, now let me see if I can get my live feedback up and running. Seriously, trying to do all this stuff at once is an absolute nightmare, particularly when you've got the sun shining on the screen and you can't see anything. This is all the stuff that I normally have a full crew of people to help me out with, I mean, seriously, where's Aldo and Johnny and all those people when you need them? It's just an absolute nightmare trying to do this all on my own. Okay, I've got lots more hellos to come in, and some questions as well. Tamsin D. Are we the only animal to have lost our ability to communicate with other animals, or do other animals communicate across species? And also I've had 11Zs who asks, can different species of bird communicate, like a crow and a sparrow? So the answer to that is yes, they can. It's not like they actually talk, like they're having a conversation, but they can very much hear each other's startle and alarm calls and contact calls and react to them, because the threat that is going to be a threat for a dunnock could well be a threat for a reed bunting as well. So they might as well take every single trigger that they can have to take care of themselves. I have a couple of people asking whether terrapins are native in the Thames, including my good friend Tom, who sent me a photo of one. They're not, but we are starting to see them more often. They're probably released pets that have just started to... someone shouting happy birthday to Helen from the other side of the river. They're pets that have been released deliberately and are starting to do really rather well here. What else have we got? The Bug and the Boy. That's a cracking name. Question from Nate and Gus. What's the scariest thing you found in your boot? I can remember coming back from one expedition, and we had been in the field for about 3 or 4 weeks, living proper rough. And we came back and we had one night in a really posh hotel, and we dropped all of our bags in the lobby on this glorious marble floor, and cockroaches, like hundreds of cockroaches, just scampered out of our rope bags and our food bags and disappeared. And there was all of these people, the bellhops and the maitre d's and whatever else, that were all charging around the hotel, stomping on these cockroaches, which were just disappearing off into their kitchen. Yeah, not the best. So we have Bridie Ann, who asks if I've ever discovered a new species myself. Yes, we've been on lots of expeditions where we've discovered new species of spider, of insects, of lizards, of snakes, of bats, and of marsupials and rats as well. I've got one coming from Argentina who asks, do I believe in the existence of the Yeti, Bigfoot, or another hominid? Well, I don't know. Let's find out, shall we? Maybe I have to go on an expedition and see if I can find one. I have big shout out to Riley, who's 12 on Saturday. Very happy birthday for Saturday. I've Dawny Moo, who says, I live near Cannock Chase in Staffordshire and have about 4 resident buzzards. Why are they constantly coming under attack when in flights by crow and seagulls? That's called mobbing, and particularly this time of year, they may well have youngsters themselves, and they're driving the predatory bird away. I have... congratulations to Izzy Mackay. During lockdown, climbed twice the height of Everest from the sea level to the top of the world. 47 days climbing a whole load of stairs, and has raised over £14,000 for the NHS. That is absolutely brilliant. Very, very well done, Izzy. Massive shout out to Olivia, who's animal mad. Happy 6th birthday to Hamish McGanga, sorry. Well done to 10-year-old Owen Reese, who's been writing a diary, choosing countries. 4-year-old Nicholas found a dead adder on a walk. Thanks to 7-year-old Holly McLean for the photo of the adder. Well done to Nicholas 8 and Francesca, Luke and Robbie, who've built a mini pond in their garden. Well done to Charlie and sister Robin. Thank you to 10-year-old Thomas Bolton in Lincolnshire for the great photographs. Thank you to the Year 3 children from Frostway Academy, Lincoln, for their letters. Well done making shoebox habitats for animals. Thank you to Alice Drew for sending me a picture, and to Jamie Brooke for his lockdown song. We have a question here. Let's go to another photo, actually, because we've got some beauties that have been sent in. This one here is from Mr. Treadwell, and look at that. Isn't that an absolute gorgeous, gorgeous photo? I think that's a great raft spider, probably taken in the fens. So this is a spider that will scamper around on the surface of the water. They wait just at the edge of the water with their front pairs of legs in the water, just feeling for any vibrations that come off from the water, and then they'll dash onto the surface of the water to catch things above, or even dive below to catch things below the surface. Had lots of... Oh, here's one that came in from Gwithian Sands in glorious Cornwall. I so wish I was there right now. This is a scarlet tiger moth. Looking at all of these, so I've shown lots and lots of moths, the cinnabars, the elephant hawks, the scarlet tigers. They're all brightly coloured. It kind of, I guess, does away with our preconception that all butterflies are brightly coloured, moths are grey and dull and not quite so exciting. Couldn't be further from the truth. There are plenty of butterflies that are absolutely gorgeous. Thomas J. Knight asks, why is the barb or tail of a stingray harmful, yet that of a manta ray is not? Well, they don't actually have a barb on the tail with manta rays, because, you know, the stingray primarily lying on the bottom is protecting itself from danger coming down from above, and they will move that barb around. They can thrash it around like this to sting anything that's close to the barb. Rona, 59, says, I'm curious to learn more about what ladybugs do. What does it mean when there are lots of them in your garden? Well, at the moment, we're getting lots pupating, so gathering on the walls, and the larvae, which are themselves voracious predators, feeding on things like aphids, will then pupate, and they'll emerge as the winged adult, which again is a predator of things like aphids. They are one of the best things to have in your garden. In fact, one of my neighbours told me recently that they can order them online. You can buy bags of ladybirds and let them free in your garden to eat all your aphids, which is natural pest control, so absolutely sensational. We have lots of questions coming in asking about how you can get to do a job like mine. So many of them, I don't really know where to start. Well, James Wiley, for example, James Wiley Photography. What I would say is that the most important thing to do is to have an inquisitive mind and to want to learn as much as you can about natural history. It's such a huge subject that you kind of have to get started early. You know, there's at least 800,000 different kinds of bugs, at least 20,000 different kinds of fish, 10,000 different kinds of birds, 120,000 different kinds of butterflies and moths. Unless you start studying young, then your brain's just not going to be able to fit it all in. You know, so start as early as you can. Be inquisitive about the natural world. Everything you hear and see around you that you don't understand, try and find out what it is. Then I would say study. So try and study the sciences, go to university and do biology, zoology, marine biology, something like that, and then just see which way it takes you. It could take you into conservation, it could take you into making wildlife films, whatever. The very, very best of luck. It is an amazing way to spend your life. Right, so I've got lots and lots of questions coming in on YouTube. Do I have any interesting photos, Leo in Norwich asks. Leo, seriously, I've been throwing up photos every few seconds. Am I not going fast enough? I've got one here asking, this is a really interesting question actually. We have someone asking if animals all have equal amounts of eyes, and what animal has them. The Turners ask, what is the highest number of eyes that anything has? So, no, not all animals have equal eyes. In fact, there's lots and lots of reptiles that have a simple eye on the top of their head called an ocelli, which is good at discerning the difference between light and dark. Things like tuataras and iguanas have those. So they effectively... No, it's not the ocelli, is it? It's the parietal... Oh, it'll come to me. But ocelli are simple eyes that lots of bugs have. So there are spiders that will have up to 12 eyes. There is, though, one particular marine organism called the chiton that may have as many as 1,000 eyes, and they're reasonably well developed. They're enough that they can perceive a fish that's coming nearby to it. If you don't know what it looks like, chiton, just amazing looking little creatures. They look like some kind of I don't know, military helmet or something. Ben, age 7 from Worcester, wants to know, why do koalas eat poo? Well, eating poo in the natural world is actually really common. So common, in fact, that there's a word for it. It's called coprophagy. Our own rabbits that we have here in this country practice poo eating. And essentially what it is when you haven't fully digested the nutrients in your food, you can eat what remains. I'm not talking about you, but some animals can, in order to gain more of the nutriment and not just effectively discard it. We have Kate Flanagan. My sons are reading something set in Indonesia. They want to know how long it took you to learn Indonesian and what's your favourite Indonesian snake. Well, Indonesia, I spent over a year there when I was doing my first writing job, and I studied it and learnt it reasonably well. And then I've been back lots and lots of times over the years. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess I speak it reasonably well. My favourite Indonesian snake... Hello, little one. Hello. I've been gate crashed. My favourite Indonesian snake is... What's your favourite snake, Logan? Do you have a favourite? No? It's probably the king cobra, which I filmed there many times, particularly in Bali. And in fact, there's some wonderful footage on YouTube of us going looking for king cobras and king cobras eating other snakes. So if you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, then you could get a little glimpse into the wonderful world of the king cobra. And can we just have a quick happy birthday for... Oh, actually, she's just finished rowing and she's looking a bit... Do you mind?
Thanks.
So Helen's just come off the river, which is how she celebrated the beginning of her birthday. I promise that there's going to be more romance in it than me telling her she looks rough. Oops, I'm in so much trouble. I should wrap this up pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to do just a couple of last questions, a couple of last shout-outs before we call an end to today. Happy birthday to Josh Roberts, who was an explorer and is 20. Happy birthday to you, Josh. We've got... happy 7th birthday to Lauren. We've got Melissa McCormack, who cycled around a football pitch 100 times. Oh, that's Daniel, who raised money for the NHS. Well done. Happy birthday to the little fluffer. Oh, I think she's saying happy birthday to Helen, actually. Happy birthday to Jason. Happy 14th birthday to Thomas Judge. Happy birthday to Sarah Measures. Lots of people saying happy birthday to Helen. Happy birthday to Seth, who was 6 on Saturday. He's really gutted to miss because he's at school, but a very happy birthday to him. And a shout out to Finley in Barnsley. Right, you all. I think now I should probably call an end to things and go and make my wife some breakfast. So thank you all very much for tuning in, and all the very best from me, Stevie B!